My name is Logan Dubil, and you are watching Campus Reform. Today, I am joined by conservative activist Scott Presler. Scott quite literally spends all of his time traveling the country to register voters, to teach Republican candidates how to run for office, and to clean America's dirtiest cities. Most recently, Scott's work has paid off in the state of Virginia, as Governor elect Glenn Youngkin has helped flip the state red. Also, in Florida, there are now more registered Republican voters than Democrats. Scott, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Logan. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So today we are going to be discussing the world of politics, specifically about the younger generation. To start off, why do you think it is important for conservative students to get involved?
Well, quite frankly, this is your future. How do you want the world to look? And I want people to understand, especially the younger generation, speak up or others are going to speak for you. And I think the most pressing issue facing our country right now is medical freedom. I just had a group of college Republicans have me speak to their club, and one girl, she's wants to become a nurse, and she said that this literally is affecting her livelihood, whether or not she may have to take the vaccine in order to be in that profession. So I believe if you want medical freedom, if you want choice, if you want to be able to pursue the profession and livelihood that you want in life, then it's important that as college students that you speak up, that you get engaged, and that you register to vote and make sure that the politicians we are electing are going to make sure that you can have a future for yourself that you get to choose, not the government.
So now let's kind of go into a little bit more specifics. What are some specific things that students can do to get involved? Let's kind of start with students who are kind of new to all of this. Where's a good place for them to get involved without, overwhelming them or kind of scaring them a little bit? Where's an easy spot for them to get started?
I joined a club on campus, and whatever political leaning that you have, join your Young Americans for Liberty, join your Turning Point USA, join your Libertarians of America, just join a club. It's going to be a great opportunity, especially if you're new to the area, that you can meet like-minded individuals to, get your feet wet. And once you've joined a club, I want you to attend the meetings, get to know the people in that club. And I encourage you to register to vote. And I encourage you to seek out how you can become more involved with that group. So for example, Young Americans for Liberty and Turning Point USA, sometimes they bring speakers like myself, and maybe that can be an opportunity that if there's somebody you want to hear from, you can put a bug in their ear to invite a Charlie Kirk or a Candace Owens or a Scott Presler to come speak to your university about these kinds of issues.
So yeah, you definitely mentioned a lot about how you have gone out and spoken at universities. Is this a tool that you would like a lot of conservative students to use out there? Is there a way for them to get in contact with you to kind of make this a reality for them?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very accessible. My Twitter, you have full permission to slide into my DMs, and I mean that in the most wholesome of ways. You can reach me on Instagram, Gab, Telegram, Twitter, Facebook, Truth Social when that comes out. I'm literally on everything, and I'm probably one of the only social media conservative activists that you can reach me just by sliding into my DMs. And I don't charge a speaking fee. So that's something that I want to make very clear. I try to make this as economical as humanly possible. But more importantly, guys, I don't want you to think that you necessarily need a speaker like me. A little bit about my story for a second. I graduated from college. I studied criminal justice. I have a bachelor's of science. And with a 3.63, I graduated with honors. But even despite all of that, I couldn't find a job, and I was walking dogs for a living. And then I worked at an elementary school. I knew that wasn't going to be my career, because I think there's a difference between a job and a career. A career is when you have the opportunity to build a life for yourself, and there are opportunities to gain higher employment within that system. And so I was unhappy and I decided to self-determine my future. So basically what I want the young generation to understand is really that you guys are infinitely powerful. And I truly believe that you have the opportunity to self-determine your own future and your own destiny, but you and you alone have to make that choice. And the reason why I'm saying this is I understand people may look at my social media or they may look at the work that I've done and they think that I need me. Guys, you don't need me. You know who you need? You need you. You need you to step up, to take action, to raise your voice, and ultimately to do something. So yes, I'm happy to help, but I want you guys to be the leaders and be the change that you want to see in the world.
So we've already discussed how beginning students can get involved. So let's say a new student has joined a club, has been attending meetings, has registered to vote. What are next steps to kind of progress getting their message out there?
Well, you need to be forward thinking. In what happens is a lot of these clubs don't continue on because they aren't thinking about, okay, the president of this club is a senior, meaning that they're going to be graduating next year. So who are they going to pass on that torch to the next person? So if you have any inclination that you want to serve, that you want to be in a higher office within that club, I would reach out to the president or the vice chair or the secretary and just say, you know what, I'm really interested in having a more important role to play within this organization, and I would like to be considered for a role. I know that our president is going to graduate next year. You know, do we have a plan to make sure that this club is going to continue on next year and the year after? And you know, don't be afraid to give your input on events. Whether it's, you know, one thing that Turning Point USA does that I really enjoy is they go out there and they have, you know, a free speech ball, or they're doing tabling, or it's outreach in order to get your message to the masses. The most important thing is, Logan, you're wonderful, but I know that we already agree on some similar policies, right? So therefore, if I want to expand and if I want to gain more influence, I don't want to just talk to the wonderful Logans of the world. I want to go out and talk to the college students that may have voted for Joe Biden. And I want to pick their brain and ask them how they feel about medical freedom, how they feel about parental choice in education, how they feel about Americans who are left behind in Afghanistan and won't have the opportunity to celebrate Thanksgiving like we will. I want to hear how they feel about the rising gas prices and rising food prices. And ultimately, do they feel when they graduate that they're going to be successful in landing a job in the career path that they've chosen? So this is our opportunity to do outreach, but you can't do it just going to the club or organization that you're involved with. You need to be doing outreach right there at the university that you're attending.
Perfect. So you definitely touched upon having civil discussions with the other side to kind of, like you said, pick in their head of why they're thinking the way they are. Maybe you can find some common ground. Maybe you can even change their mind. There are also students out there, and Campus Reform has reported on this many, many times, that receive backlash from their peers and even some professors for their conservative views, me being one of them. After my interview with the Laura Ingraham on her show, The Ingraham Angle, I had a petition created to get me kicked off my campus. How do students kind of veer around these obstacles?
Well, it's a decision that you have to make. You know, it's unfortunate that when you speak out, you do become a target. And the only way that we can get more of us to speak out, or just people in general to fight for a cause peacefully and democratically, is they need to know that they're going to be supported, that there's going to be a group who is going to ensure that if they are attacked, if they are slandered, if they are defamed, that they're going to have a group of individuals to support them and to ferociously defend them. And that's where people like myself come in. I not only come speak at these universities, but I've helped defend people who have been defamed and slandered. But ultimately, you have to make that decision. I remember when I was going to school, I was in sociology 100 or 101. And I remember they brought Angela Davis to school. And I had to write a paper on what she spoke about. And I remember writing the paper and I didn't believe a word of what I was writing, but I wanted the A. And so sometimes you have to think about what is your future? Are you, willing to speak out and potentially take the slings and arrows, or, are you just going to sail through college? And so you have to make that personal decision. But there are going to be people like the Logans of the world and myself who will help defend those who choose to speak up.
And as a final question to you, Scott, what final advice do you have for conservative students watching this right now?
My final piece of advice. Again, speak up. Others are going to speak for you. An organized minority is louder than a silent majority. And I hate to say it, but to withhold your speech is to tacitly approve of wrongdoing. And, look at what's happening with Kyle Rittenhouse. When we have an America that thinks it's okay to burn down cities, but it is wrong to defend your life from those who want to harm you or burn down the very cities that you love. And in part, we are responsible for that America because we have allowed an organized minority to be louder than the silent majority. So ultimately, students, it comes down to you. What kind of world do you want to live in? And if you are unhappy with the world that we're living in, if you are unhappy with the leadership, then it's time that you step up. And more importantly, you know what I would love to see? I would love to see you, the future leaders of America, run for school board, run for city council, run for mayor, run for state rep, run for state senate, run for school president, right? Do it right now. Make changes at the university that you're attending school at, but don't let somebody else make those choices for you. And I'm living proof of that.
Well, Scott Presler, thank you so much for joining me. Once again, my name is Logan Dubil with Campus Reform. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw, feel free to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel for future content.